Guys, it's Jukes here, and today I'm just doing a tutorial of Cinema 4D, how to do not very realistic as much as just really good looking text, like for background and stuff. So normally you go to Mo Text, like that, render it out. Well, that doesn't look good at all. So what file you should have, and if you don't have it, I have it in the description for a download, it's a Light Studio. Let me just find it actually. And the download will be in the description, so yeah, and that'll pop up. Just hit OK, and then you'll get this. So what I do is there's different styles of text that you can do. One of them is I do just grab in Mo Text, don't drag it into the middle, just come here, hit middle. So let's do tutorial, and then so like that. Pick your font. I like either this font, Agency FB, make sure it's bold, or Typograph Pro, extra bold. So we're going to go for Typograph and just size it down. What you want to do is you want to keep your text in between the white things or the lights. Otherwise it'll turn out kind of faded here, and when you add your color correction it might look bad. But if you want that kind of style, you can go for it. So what you're going to do is you're going to go home here, you're going to turn your depth up to 130. You can go more if you like. You're going to go to caps, fillet cap, put it down to 1. Same thing with the other one. And if you do 1 and this happens, it's because you deleted the C, so it's changed to 1 meter instead of centimeters. So you're going to go 1 centimeter. You're going to come here, you're going to go Command C, Command V. Then what you're going to do is you're going to click this little thing beside the camera, and that'll let you change your view. And then you're going to come here, you're going to zoom in, change the depth to about 15, change the caps to 5 instead of 1, and as you can see, it's gotten a little bit bigger over there. So if we just hold shift and drag back, you can see it goes like that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to layer this. So you're going to, once again, copy and paste. So Command C, Command V, drag it over. Same thing, Command C, Command V. Just as many as you can fit, however big you want the gaps. Yeah, that looks about good. Then what you're going to do, you'll notice when we just render it out quick, that there is somewhat like lines there. That's part of the actual rendering of it. It might not look good to you now, but it will. So let's say we wanted to add a blue. Let's say we wanted to make a blue and white. Also in this Light Studio, there's a lot of material, so you don't have to worry about that. So let's just select all the layers, hold shift, click, and let's drag on some blue. Oops, I did that wrong. Drag on some blue, and then let's delete the blue on the first one. And let's go down, and I like to use this one, Acrez White. For those of you who don't know who Acrez is, he's a famous, he's pretty good at editing, and I think he does GFX too. And we're going to double click, take off the reflection, and we're just going to do that. So as you can see, it adds a nice little bit of layer to it. Looks pretty good. You can do this with the other text as well. I will show you that in a second. So that's what it looks like. And so with the other text, it's called Agency FB, if any of you want to know. Just going to come here, highlight them all. Agency. Make sure it's FB, not Agency. And go bold. And this one will be smaller. You can size it up. Or if you want, what I like to do is I like to make it all caps, because I just think it looks better personally. So, tutorial. And so it looks like that. And so it's kind of on the white there, so I'm just going to highlight it all, and I'm going to move it over just a little bit. And that looks about good. And then we're going to, once again, we're going to render it. And that looks fine. So you can see there's the little lines there. It does add a bit of more like depth and better quality for when you do backgrounds in Photoshop, I find. Another form, what I've seen other people do is here, let's delete all these. What you can do, you can use the font, whatever you want. Change the caps, all of them, up to about, I like to use 4. Change all the caps up to 4. And instead of 130, you're going to make it 45. So now what you're going to do is you're going to click up here, and you're just going to look at this one for a little bit, so you can zoom out. You're going to copy and paste. You might want to zoom in. Sorry, no, I just said zoom out. Click, hold shift, drag it. Now make sure there is that little line in there, because that will make it look, I think, way better. And same with the last one. So only 3 of them I think looks fine. And what you can do is, let's drag it on the first one, and let's highlight this one too. Oh, that one and that one. And let's go up again, and keep going up, and here. Let's drag this material on. Like that. And when we do that, it'll look like this. So depending on how big or how much depth you want, it could look good. Either of them look fine. Most of the time I use the first one I said, but it's really up to you, just preference. So now what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna delete all these, and the other one is graffiti style. So if you want, I'm sure you can find something on the internet of someone's pen tool graffiti. Otherwise, I'll upload this folder in the description as well. And so what you're gonna do is you're gonna keep this open, hit Shift, Command, or if you're on PC, hit Control and O. So this will allow you to import as opposed to just open it and start a new project. So I have mine saved in a graphic pack, and here we go. So it's by era, so I'm sure you can find it. And then you can only import one at a time. So just for time's sake, I'm just going to do jukes. So when this comes up, don't touch anything, just hit OK. And you might notice, where did it go? It's not here. Well, that's because what happens is it's done alphabetically, and so the J is up there, Z would be about here, and A would be somewhere over here. So it's like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and it's done like that. So you'll see when I import the other ones. Let's go J, U. You can just U, double hit enter, Shift Command O, X, double hit enter. So they're placed all over the place. Shift Command O and E. So now what you're gonna do is, what I like to do is I just like to line them up. Doesn't matter where. Just so that they can be touching, it doesn't matter. Just try to get them together. Spread that out and bring this down. And so what you're gonna do now is you're gonna highlight them all. So click one, hold shift, click the other ones, and you're gonna go like this, and you're gonna drag it straight down. Then you're gonna go back to this, and yes, it's big, so you're gonna size it down. And what you might notice is some of them do have 2 paths or 2 splines. For example, the J has the main part like that, and then the little thing on top. I don't like the little thing, so I just delete it. So now what you're gonna do is you can drag that out, and you can delete that. You're gonna come up here, go to extrude NURBS. You're gonna Command C, Command V, Command V, Command V. You're gonna make 4 and drag each one into one, if that made sense. So like this, and like this, and then you can just minimize them all. And I like to use depth about maybe 35. And so this right here looks pretty boring. So what you're gonna do, because as you all know, graffiti is not anywhere near regular, what I like to do is I like to just rotate them and shift them. And so the actual rotating point and moving point is not on the actual object. So when you do rotate it, you'll have to move it back into that space. For example, if I rotate it like that, I have to move it forward a little bit. And so now you can see, just gives it over here, just gives it a little bit more, not so much realistic, but the other thing you want to avoid is you want to avoid them touching, like, into each other, because that will just make it look very, very bad. So, for example, it was touching before, I moved it, might move this over a little bit, just because there's a lot of, like, blank. So I think that looks good for now. Let's go with the X. I'm going to move the X up a little bit. And like that. And like that. There is actually no technique to doing this. It's just randomly I find it just randomly rotate them. And you always end up with a good thing. That's how I find it. So right now, with the Lightroom, you will notice some very realistic shadows. For example, the X is covering, so the U gets a little bit of shadow. But I don't like how the X is sideways, so I'm just going to tilt that back. Maybe like that. And let's maybe put it behind the U. So like that. And let's move it over. And let's see. That looks okay. Let's maybe... Actually, no. We'll get the E to cover it. If you do notice your text is going gray as opposed to the black, it's just because the light is hitting it. And even if you do drag a material on, you'll notice that it's still black except for the sides here. That's because that's where the light is hitting. But when you do the render preview, you'll notice it actually is that color. So once again, you just gotta rotate, mix around, and I find that you never get a bad kind of image. So like that could be fine. And so the last thing, which you've probably noticed in a lot of backgrounds, even in my backgrounds, is this little effect. I'm just gonna make a new mode text. Middle jukes. Let's put it up to 45. That's good. That's good. And let's just use agency. Bold. The cap's okay. Yep. And drag it up. And let's go to this one again. Command C, Command V. Hold click, hold shift. Drag. Nope, not enough. There we go. Need that little space. Command V. Move this over so I can see. And same thing. And let's go back to this one. And I'm not gonna add color. It just says whatever. So you can render. You have to do 2 renders this time. You render like this. And what will happen is in this Lightroom, this is why I really recommend getting it, there's already a preset of these that make the text look good as opposed to just doing how the very first thing I did. So what you're going to do is you're going to come here, hit Cell Renderer, and everything will be fine, so don't mess around with anything. And then when you render it, it looks like this. So it looks like just the wire. But we don't want that because that looks really ugly. So what you're going to do is I'm just going to pick a save point real quick. Let's just save it to the desktop. Jukes. You're going to render it. This might take a little bit. And so I'm going to show you in Photoshop how to use this. It doesn't matter what version of Photoshop you have. I use CS6, but I'm pretty sure you can do it with any Photoshop. It's a feature that's been around for a while. So that's rendered out. Perfect. So we're just going to close that. Make sure you save it to a different destination or different name. So I just use whatever I said, number 2. And then all you do is check off Cell Renderer, and it'll render like this. Now, all those lines, I'm not sure exactly what they mean. I think they just indicate like curves, like you'll see on the J and on the U. Or actually maybe not, because it's more of a blocky text. But when you use typograph, one of the other fonts, you'll definitely see that there is a difference. So now that you've rendered both, you're going to open up Photoshop. I'll just make a new one, 800 by 800, that's fine. And I'm just going to drag them in real quick. Desktop. Where did I see it? Here. You can just highlight both and click on Photoshop. Now click your thing again and just drag it on. So just click that one. Yep. And again. So now you'll notice it just looks all black. So what you're going to do is you're going to come up to your, I'm not sure what this is called, effector, I'm going to say, and you're just going to go to screen, and then what you'll see is that it actually goes over the text, and it looks, I think, pretty nice. So I'll give you a better look. If we do color overlay, actually that looked really bad, never mind. You can see it goes over the text, and I'm not sure if it works. Yeah, I think it's screen, maybe. Yeah, this one works too. Linear dodge. Yeah, I think it's just those two. So yeah, that looks fine. And that's just a way that people, I don't know, they add a little bit more to their background. I use it on mine, and I've used it in the speed art I just uploaded. But these are some really, really helpful tips that I find to make text look a lot better as opposed to the usual just MoGraph and then done. Because I find that this makes the text look more realistic, looks way better. And the other thing I recommend is trying to find color corrections for Photoshop, because that is a big thing for backgrounds, make the background look 10 times better. And if you are already using color correction, when you render your stuff out of Cinema 4D, I normally keep it gray so that when I render it, the color correction won't mess it up, as opposed to having it like blue and you put an orange color correction and it changes to like green. So sometimes it works out that you use gray and you put on a nice color correction and it looks amazing. But other times I've had, for example, I used green and I put on orange and it came out this really, really nice like neon blue. So it's just like that. It depends how you want it. That's about it for this. The number one thing I could say is do not use normal gray, like just a new material, use that kind of gray. You can, but I find that one of these, if you scroll down, these are the main materials you want to use, is all of these ones just about here. And I like to use this gray. The only thing is I take off the reflection, sometimes keep it on. Doesn't really matter. And yeah, that's about it for this tutorial. Next week I'll probably, or not next week, sometime later I'll be covering Photoshop and just backgrounds. But so yeah, that's the tutorial. Thanks guys. Subscribe. Burper.